Hey team, this is Debbie DeLine, and I just wanted to let you know I talked to Mercy today about the chicken business, and she had asked me to make a small video for you guys. I've given her a suggestion, and I just wanted to walk you through it. And so I'm going to choose to share my screen because I've written some things up, and you can take a look. Um, my husband and I have been working in business for about 24 years now. And so this is something we applied to our own business. And I think it'll be a big help for you in the chicken business. So what I'm suggesting is that you buy 100 chickens for delivery every Friday. And what this is basically the goal would be to have a smaller batches of chickens more frequently. So what you end up with is a more predictable flow of chickens through the coop, meaning every Friday 100 new ones come in and 100 old ones go out. So you get this flow. You can think of it as a pump running. If anyone knows about pumps, you know how hard it is to prime and get a pump going. But once it's moving, things tend to work better, and it's better to not start and stop than it is to just keep it moving. Even if it's a slow amount, better to keep moving. And that's the same way with business too. So I just wrote some advantages of smaller batches and more predictable flow that I think might help a lot with this business. First of all, it reduces risks associated with uncontrollable events. And uncontrollable events are just that, they're uncontrollable. So we've had maybe some sickness with the chickens, or there was a rain issue, or maybe a slump in sales due to COVID or school starting. That's just the nature of life. You're going to have uncontrollable events. And when you have a smaller batch size, any one event will affect you less if you have a smaller batch. So it reduces that risk. Another reason is that smaller batches are easier to sell. I mean, you're looking at right now having to sell 700 chickens in the next 2 weeks, and it would be so much easier to sell 100 chickens every week and have that be repeatable every week rather than to sell a ginormous batch all in the same week. Smaller batches are also easier for the women to manage and take care of. And quality issues are contained to a smaller batch. So like if you've given the wrong medicine or there's a food issue, and if those are associated maybe with only the little ones, you have a smaller batch, maybe 100 or 200 of the little ones instead of like 700. And all of a sudden you have potentially 700 chickens at risk versus only 100 or 200. So you're able to respond very quickly in that feedback loop if there is ever is a quality issue. You're able to know quicker and have the problem contained to a smaller amount. You also are able to iterate quicker, like if you want to try a new food or you have an idea for a better food or a different way of feeding, or maybe trying the free range thing. You have smaller batches, it's an easier to manage and get that feedback loop to know if something you've tried is working. You're also less likely to have a whole bunch of larger chickens that are eating too much and can't be sold. So like your situation you're in right now with so many big ones, in another week or two, you're going to have a real problem if you can't get those sold. So if you only have 100 at a time coming in, you're less likely to have that problem because it'll be easier to move 100 a week rather than these big chunks. This business is so critical to have working capital. And by that, I mean have cash on hand to buy new chickens and to buy food. And so you're going to just dramatically reduce your cash on hand if you're every week selling 100 chickens and you don't have these big gaps where you have no funds because you don't have any chickens to sell. So having a more predictable flow of income is going to make a big difference in this business. And finally, and this is probably the most important thing, having a repeatable and predictable output of chickens will allow you to get repeatable and predictable customers. So I'm sure there are some of these customers, schools, restaurants, hotels, they would love to be able to get a more predictable supplier. So if you could say to a hotel or to a school, hey, we're going to have 50 chickens a week for you, or even 20 chickens a week, but it's predictable. We know every Monday or every Wednesday or whatever they want, we're going to bring you 20 chickens, and they can trust you that you'll have that for them. That is a huge advantage for you. So if you could start to set up these predictable customers that will repeat every week, it will be so much easier for you. So why am I suggesting 100 a week? Well, this chicken business, given all of the expenses that Mercy's given me, has a break-even point of about 300, just over 300 chickens, like 310 chickens, and before you're making any money. So if you're not selling 310 chickens a month, you will not be making any money. You might as well just stop the business right now. So you have to be over that number, which is why I'm suggesting 400. Basically 100 every month, every week for a month would give you 400 chickens. And that way you're at least making a profit and you're covering all of your expenses. So I would suggest and strongly encourage that you do whatever you can to buy 100 chickens a week. And let's try that for the next 2 months. And if you find that you're able to set up some of these repeat customers and predictable, then you can decide we want to buy 125 a week, or maybe you move it up to 150, but you still buy chickens every single week. It's so important to not cut off that flow. And in manufacturing, it's called flow. You need to have continuous, even flow through the coop of bringing the new ones in. This business will die a very quick death if you cannot buy new chickens every single week. So instead of making one big decision of how many chickens are we going to buy this month, you need to make a whole bunch of little decisions every week. How many are we going to buy for next week? How many are we going to buy for next week? It's about 4 little decisions instead of one big decision. You can be a lot more flexible in with that sort of setup. So I hope that helps you. If you have any other questions, feel free to send me a note on WhatsApp, or even ask Mercy and she can ask me, or I'd be more than happy to set up a call with any of you to discuss any of the items I've mentioned here or any other questions. So I've been praying for you guys, and I know we're going to make it through this hump, and I'm excited what God's going to do for the future of this business. So again, if you have any questions at all, just reach out. Thanks, guys. See ya.